Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're like me, a vlogger or live streamer, or just someone who relies heavily on a stable internet connection for everything, you know the struggle is real when your Wi-Fi doesn't reach, especially when you're out in your yard trying to get that perfect shot and your signal just dies. So today's video, we will be discussing what is the best Wi-Fi extender to use with your Starlink router for outdoor live streaming. We will be covering two Wi-Fi extenders, the WavLink AX3000 and the UniFi U7 Pro Outdoor. So like I said before, I live stream a lot from my phone, and at my location out in the Mojave Desert, the cell service here is basically non-existent. So Starlink Residential has been an absolute godsend. The speeds are generally fantastic. I'm talking 150 to 300 megabytes per second download and sometimes even 400. Uploads are usually 10 to 30 megabytes, averaging around 20 megabytes per second and sometimes even hitting 40 and higher. It's a lifesaver. And just a quick fun fact about Starlink. Those satellites zip around the Earth orbiting 90 minutes every 17,000 miles per hour. And your Starlink dish is constantly switching between them every 3 to 4 minutes to maintain that connection. Thought that was pretty cool, right? But even with Starlink's amazing speeds, I still had weak zones in my yard. For live streaming, I need the strongest, most consistent signal possible. I cannot afford any attenuation, any weakening of my Starlink network. And that's why I went on a quest to find the best Wi-Fi extender. Now here's a crucial point. While many Wi-Fi boosters connect wirelessly, that will introduce attenuation loss. And for me, with live streaming being so critical, I hardwired, or the technical term is backhauled, my chosen booster directly to my Starlink router. It's a similar process for wireless, but hardwiring gives you that purest signal. So my goals were clear. I needed the best extender Wi-Fi coverage, especially for vlogging and live streaming on my phone. I wanted no separate logins or passwords. I wanted one seamless network, no switching between Starlink and Starlink EXT. And third, I wanted it to auto-detect. I want the auto-detect the strongest signal. So my phone should automatically jump to the best connection as I move around. So let me be upfront. This was not a pleasant experience. Before this, I knew very little about networking. I spent countless hours, and if I'm honest, it was a lot of trial and error and a bit of frustration. But eventually I figured out how to seamlessly expand my Starlink network. And here's another heads up for anyone else doing their research. ChatGPT and Gemini, while helpful for many things, gave me old, outdated, or just plain incorrect information on how to log in, how to connect, and set up these specific devices. Even WavLink's own information was terrible. UniFi had some decent info, but crucial details was still missing. So what you're about to see is born from real-world testing and a lot of head scratching. Okay, so first up, the UniFi U7 Pro Outdoor. It boasts Wi-Fi 7 capability, and for those of you with Wi-Fi 7 capable phones or routers, that sounds amazing, right? Okay, so here's the deal. The Wi-Fi 7 limitations. Yes, you can set it up as an extender by plugging it into your Starlink Gen 3 router. However, that 6G Wi-Fi 7 won't work unless you also buy a UniFi router and enable Wi-Fi 7 through their ecosystem, and their controller is needed. Most of the settings are available via the UniFi phone app. You won't even see the 6G option in the app, just the 2.4 and the 5G. Also, without the controller, it's a separate network or standalone, which will require its own network name and SSID and personal password. The availability is available in the US, but not everywhere. Outdoor Wi-Fi 7 has different regulations than indoor Wi-Fi 7. Its directional signal. The Wi-Fi 7 signal is primarily front-facing. Information suggests you need to be directly in front of the device. Its effective range is about 100 feet and a width of about 50 feet at that distance. So the antenna options. The U7 has options for a 90-degree front-facing signal or a 360-degree signal via an external antenna. Just installing the antenna doesn't make it 360 degrees. You need to configure it in the device settings. I found no significant increase in the signal with either the Omni antenna or the high-powered setting. So my theory is that the 90-degree internal antenna provides service for power for specific devices in that area, while the Omni antenna picks up devices all around. So consider your specific coverage needs. Another crucial tip is to make sure you save your settings on the U7 before exiting, or it will revert to the factory defaults and the internal antenna. Okay, so next up, the WavLink AX3000. This was a nightmare to connect. I tried connecting via my desktop. I could not connect at all. Connection with my laptop was a hit or miss. The only consistent success was with my phone, which I thankfully tried as a last resort. So do not connect to the WavLink via Ethernet expecting an easy login. For me, it was impossible and caused tons of network issues. And for those following along, you might want to watch this whole section first and then rewind it and try it because some choices aren't easily undone. Okay, so first we're going to power on. Power the WavLink unit on with its adapter. Second, you're going to connect via phone Wi-Fi. So on your phone, you're going to go to your Wi-Fi networks and find the WavLink's default network and connect to it. Third, you're going to open a browser and log in via the IP address found in the WavLink directions. It's usually like a 192.168.10.1, or you could go to waplogin.link. The next thing is your mode settings. Go to your mode settings and choose the AP mode. Immediately turn off Smart DHCP. It's usually right below the AP mode, unlike U7 Pro needed for single login and network. The fifth thing is the SSID and password. Now you're going to change the SSID and you're going to name the unit Wi-Fi network. And you want to name it to be the same name as your Starlink network name and set it as the same password. An important note, once you match the WavLink's name and password to your Starlink, you might have trouble logging back into the WavLink directly. If that happens, temporarily shut off the power to your Starlink router, but keep the WavLink powered on. And here's some pro tips for testing. Until you're comfortable with the setup, or if you want to test the WavLink independently, do not match the name identically. For example, if your Starlink network is Starlink, change the WavLink's SSID to Starlink Booster. And make sure the first word is the same. This is important for later. Okay, so keep the password the same also. This way you can see the booster's signal strength separately. The next thing is you're going to hardwire your connection. Finally, the last step is you're going to connect your Starlink router to the WavLink's power adapter via an Ethernet cable. So the same name and password convention applies to the UniFi U7 Pro as well for seamless roaming. To really understand what is going on, I downloaded 2 essential apps on my phone from the Google Play Store. First was the Speed Test app by Ookla for measuring download and upload speeds. The second was a Wi-Fi analyzer by ogre.com, or you can find some similarly high-rated app that's comparable. And this would be for checking signal strength and channel interference. And here we go with the testing process. So first is the Starlink baseline. So first you're going to open your Starlink app and run a speed test. This is your baseline, the best signal you can possibly achieve directly from your Starlink router. The second is your boost proximity test. Connect one booster at a time to your Starlink, wired as I did to avoid interference between the boosters during testing. Place the booster right next to your Starlink router. Third is your signal strength with the Wi-Fi analyzer. So you're going to open the Wi-Fi analyzer, and at the bottom you're going to go to the channel graph. This shows networks and their strength. At the top, select the frequency, 2.4G, 5G, or 6G. In the settings, set the scan interval to 1 second. Open the filter, and it's the 3 vertical bars at the top. Under the SSID, type the first word of your network name. This is why that naming convention was so important earlier. Both networks will now be shown. Under security, on the same page, make sure only WPA2 and WPA3 are selected. These settings make it much easier to focus on the networks you care about. Now walk around the perimeter of your property, observing the signal strengths, and don't forget to switch between the 2.4, 5, or 6Gs. 6G if available, which Starlink and WavLink don't have, and I did not have the controller for the U7 Pro. Fourth is the speed testing with the speed test. This app tests all band frequencies together. No need to select them. Connect your phone to your desired Wi-Fi network. Run speed tests for both download and upload speeds. And an important note, just because you have better attenuation doesn't always mean better data transfer rates. Timing is key. Swap between your Wi-Fi networks and run tests at the same time in different locations, rather than testing one network in many locations and then the other. Starlink speeds can vary significantly throughout the day. Okay, so my findings and the verdict. First, a huge kudos to Elon and the Starlink team. Out of all the issues I had, none were related to the Starlink itself. That product is simply a plug and play. And here's the shocker. The Starlink Gen 3 router was far superior to both the WavLink and the UniFi U7 Pro units in terms of raw signal strength concerning wall penetration. Hands down, no comparison. My Starlink router is tucked away in a bedroom closet with no unobstructed views. It's surrounded by 3 walls and a solid door. The other 2 units had unobstructed views and clear lines of sight. Yet within 100 feet in any direction, the Starlink router had less attenuation. While the dB signal strength on the boosters might have appeared higher at times, the crucial upload data speed never beat Starlink within that 100 feet or 360-degree range. Within 10 feet of Starlink, all devices registered similar transfer rates, so it wasn't an internal antenna loss issue. Remember, those boosters were hardwired to the Starlink router. Okay, next up. Now for the extended range. The UniFi U7 Pro Outdoor. At 200 feet with clear view and front facing, the UniFi U7 Pro on the 5G channel did beat Starlink about 30% on both download and upload speeds. But again, my Starlink was in a closet facing no particular direction, pushing through 2 walls. On the sides of the UniFi U7 with the internal antenna, the signal was weak at 100 feet, and especially at 200 feet with a 90-degree single angle behind one common house wall. Now, for the extended range, UniFi U7 Pro Outdoor. At 200 feet with a clear view and front-facing, the UniFi U7 Pro on the 5G channel did beat Starlink by about 30% on both download and upload speeds. But again, my Starlink was in a closet facing no particular direction, pushing through 2 walls. On the sides of the UniFi U7 with the internal antenna, the signal was weak at 100 feet and especially at 200 feet with a 90-degree side angle behind one common house wall. The UniFi signal was often non-existent, while Starlink still transmitted upload data with an 80% reduction. When I moved the U7 to an unobstructed view, but still stood behind the unit, the 5G signal remained strong with little transfer loss. Now the WavLink AX3000. Honestly, I'm not even going to comment much on the WavLink for this purpose. Its signal strength was greatest at 2.4 Gs, which simply doesn't provide enough bandwidth for the high-speed uploads I need for vlogging on the 5G channel. Standing directly behind the UniFi U7 at 100 feet, Starlink still outperformed it 2 times, even with 2 times the barriers. So my choice was, as I kept the UniFi U7 Pro. I installed it with the omnidirectional antenna. Its primary purpose is to provide very specific front-facing coverage for about 600 square feet, 100 square feet closer to my primary vlogging area than the Starlink router. Because it's hardwired and closer, the coverage is better in that specific zone. Also, I bought a coaxial cable and placed it between the antenna and ran the cable with the antenna on the end to the other side of the house. And voila! Great coverage without any additional equipment. Honestly, if Starlink's upload speeds weren't right at the minimum threshold I needed, I probably wouldn't have even needed the UniFi U7. The data transfer is right on the edge at 200 feet. Yes, I could have just moved the Starlink router to another part of the house, but I didn't want to reroute all the cables throughout my home. But here's an interesting note from my experience. I installed this on July 24th of 2025, and we've never had a Starlink outage before. But when I plugged the booster into the Starlink for the final step, Starlink went dead. There was no internet, no communication whatsoever. So I immediately thought, oh my God, great, I broke something. Being out in the middle of nowhere with virtually no cell service, I had no idea if it was the dish, the cable, or the router. I truly figured the booster was too much for the system and I had ruined my Starlink router. So after an hour, I drove to where I had cell service, and sure enough, Starlink itself was offline. I then thought to myself, oh no, could I have caused this? What are the chances that the only time I've ever messed with my network, Starlink, goes offline at the exact second I plug something in? Talk about a coincidence. So as a quick public service announcement, have your Starlink account number handy. The app won't connect you to the service without it. Learn from my mistakes. All in all, the Starlink Gen 3 router truly impressed me. Its minimum square footage coverage is stated at 10,000 square feet, with great coverage up to 40,000 square feet. And I was getting fairly decent upload speeds, 40 megabytes per second download and 5 megabytes per second upload, with consistent coverage over 90,000 square feet from a router tucked away in a closet behind walls. There were no obstructions. You can do the same with the U7 Pro. Well, I hope this deep dive into extending your Starlink Wi-Fi for vlogging was helpful. If you've had similar experiences or have questions, drop them in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more tech tips and vlogging adventures, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.